Welcome to Portland, Oregon, where the Oregon Soar are hosting their last game, also the last game for their opponent, the Seattle Tempest, coming down I-5 to visit, wrap up their season. We are live here. Oregon players about to be announced to the crowd here at this wonderful stadium. Last home game here of the year. I am Bobby Goff. I am joined by the illustrious Danny Runzo. Danny, once again, how are you doing, and how do you think these teams are doing down here?
Thanks, Bobby. I'm great. I bet there's a lot of excitement. Last game of both of the regular season. Fates are set at this point, but I think both teams are here wanting to prove something. I think Seattle Tempest wants to close out a very, very strong regular season.
Yep.
And unfortunately, Soar is 0-5 on the regular season. I think they are wanting to bring home a win for this home crowd.
Yeah, I think the same. And they're probably wanting to bring it home for themselves also, and for their wonderful coaches and their wonderful organizers here for this organization. Yeah, it's been tough sledding for them on the scoreboard, on the weather forecasts, in all the ways, but I would still call it a massively successful premier season for a new organization and a new group of players.
Absolutely.
And there's 4 more quarters left to go to prove whatever you still want to prove.
Number 84, Reed Tinker. Number 87, Eliana.
Weather-wise, we're looking at the most Pacific Northwest-like weather that we've experienced at this stadium so far. It is a little gray, a little overcast, and actually I think the least windy game we've seen so far. Now in the stadium it does seem like the wind gets trapped a little bit down on the field, so maybe we'll see things a little bit differently once we see the discs in the air. But yeah, this is definitely pretty different circumstances than the other 2 home games we've seen.
Yeah, we've kind of had a little trifecta. Super hot game that first game, crazy wins the second game, and now we've got a little more of something these 2 teams are used to. Some overcast, a thrower's breeze, some rain around us but not on top of us. I think we're well set. And we will now have the national anthem.
California dreaming of such a winner's day.
They had 2 seconds and they made it count. Do you believe?
I am so fired up, I just jumped out of my seat.
Wow, what a beautiful grab.
Creatine is only for extreme athletes who eat dominance.
Actually, let's skip that part. Combat Candy is for everyone who trains hard and deserves better than choking down powder. 5 grams of science-backed creatine and a gummy that turns supplement routine into something to look forward to. Just because your workout is serious business doesn't mean your creatine supplements are Combat Candy. Making strength frickin' delicious. Try it at combatcandies.com.
Welcome back here to Portland. We have our captains here at midfield figuring out how this game's going to get kicked off. Other teams huddling, talking strategy. Crowd filtering in here. Let's see. We're going to play a little body language doctor here, read what's going on with our referees, explaining some rules. Always good to check in. Big shout out to our referees this game and every game. It is one of the hardest jobs in sports.
Absolutely.
And across all leagues, thank you for your service. I don't know about you, Danny, but I have been watching sports for about 24 consecutive hours here as the WNBA is kicked off. NBA playoffs are going. NWSL is fully into their season. I am glad to be participating here in a huge weekend just for sports and women's sports specifically.
Absolutely. Exciting time for women's sports.
Yeah.
Great weekend for it. Excited to see what happens here today. We just received word that Seattle won the coin toss and will be pulling from the south end of the field, which from your camera orientation, I think is going to be on the left side.
I believe so. Yeah, shout out to people in the chat. We have a viewer from South Korea joining us on the YouTube stream. Thank you for joining, all of you. Even though the season is wrapping up, the regular season, still a great time to like and subscribe and be ready for the playoffs that are coming very soon. And you can find every game from this season and from seasons past on this page. And every click, every view goes a long way. So thank you for being here now. Thank you for being here in the future. And we are to walk into the line here. Chelsea Putnam leading the Soar squad, their head coach this year. One of the best motivators I've ever heard talk in person. Sure, she's got some nice words down there. Get people ready to go.
Chelsea's passion is pretty unmatched. I completely agree. I would love to be a fly down there and hear what she's saying to this O-line. Out there, we have Nat Hancock, one of our players to watch this game. Seasoned veteran, I believe, probably the most years of experience on this Soar team. And they've been making a large impact every game they've played.
Sadie Jezerski is on the other side of the field. They're going to start this game off with a poll. They are your blocks leader across the league this year. Just one of the most productive players for this Seattle squad. Also, he's thrown more hucks than anyone else on this team, so they will be focal point of probably several big plays coming at us.
Definitely. They contribute hugely on both sides of the disc, and it's always exciting to see what they're going to pull out. A very creative player.
And here we go. Nat Hancock is going to get this game started. Nice defense by Seattle that disrupts the first pull play, and they immediately get a block. Ikram Elmi gets in the way of the first pass of the game.
And in Seattle's last game, Ikra and Elmi had 4 blocks, so continuing the trend, coming out hot early.
And that would be quite a way to start it, but Takahashi's going to shut that one down. Soar back with the disc. Crowded back here in their own end zone is Oregon. Paklemba is just going to get it out there. That's their favorite target downfield. Kimber Coles, always reliable. Come down with the jump ball. Matonis now. And referee is going to signal a stall up on the high side with Coles showing the contest sign. I believe the observer is going to step in and say no. Observer is going to step in and say no stall, so the disc is going to stay with Matonis here. They are going to lose that continuation to Luke down the field, but they are going to keep the disc. They're happy with that. Elmi on the mark. Again to Luke. Some closed off underneath space downfield, but that's going to leave something over the top. And Egan goes a little early, gets 8 or more fingertips on it, but cannot reel it all the way in. Lucky break here for Seattle. Elmi keeps the disc moving. All the way to the high side for Jezerski. Who slips one past the mark, but not past Takahashi for their second block at this point. Again, keeping Soar alive. Hancock quarterbacking. Elmi all over it.
2 blocks in about 4 minutes. That's great.
Yeah, they are locked in right now. Seattle fast breaking. Room into the end zone. Jezerski's going to put it there. And maybe despite a hand from Oregon Soar, Seattle comes down with it. I believe that's Laney Nguyen. Starting this game off with a break.
Yeah.
Several turns, several get-backs. And we have our first goal.
First goal and first break for Seattle Tempest. That was a very nice grab by Lonnie Nguyen, under some nice pressure from Jackie Matonis, but not quite enough. That was exciting back and forth, though. I'm excited to see Soar's pace of play there. I think that they earned the disc back a couple times. Obviously, it's an O point. You want to score it. Number 1, you want to score it. Number 2, you want to do it efficiently. But I'm excited to see the fight that Soar is showing. And Seattle, I'm sure, is feeling good about getting that first block.
Yeah, and a nice little wind check for us there up in the booth and at home. Saw a couple of away throws kind of linger up in the air, so seems like there's a little breeze, but people look mostly comfortable out there. There's Ren Vogel looking comfortable themselves. Paklemba now. Vogel again. Playing give go. Down near side Riley.
Bobby, I agree. I think it's looking a little windier than we saw in warm-ups.
Yeah, not quite the violent winds, but definitely pushing things around a little bit as Vogel cannot grab one off their shoelaces. Seattle has another chance here. Down at the low side, Sue. Nice grab there by Chung. Charlie Ides keeping it moving. Seattle chunking away some yards. Sue again. Is going to reach into the end zone. They've got their person with space, with room, with time, with hands. That's MJ Mahan. They have got another break here for Seattle, who's up to a 2-0 lead. Some smooth O there from Oregon. Just a little bit of a low ball. Can't come up with it. Seattle has remained sharp. 2 possessions in a row here. And they're cruising.
I agree. I think both teams' offense look pretty good there. Seattle is making some impressive catches out there, full extension grabs, and I think Oregon kind of just has to do the same. They've got to secure the disc. They're getting open people. That's great. I think we have mostly the same O group as the first point back out on the field for Soar here. And mostly the same D group out from Seattle as well.
Yeah, sort of the story of this Soar season so far is kind of up and down play and just some really tough individual quarters. They're hoping to avoid kind of an all down quarter here. Got to get right pretty quick.
That's a good point. I think, no matter the outcome of this game, I think a big win for Soar would be a little bit more consistency from quarter to quarter.
Dana Nelson, who's one of the bright spots of the last home game, can't come up with that one, but will
Get it
help
right back.
secure that disc to the ground. And Matonis saw them going deep, as did I, but Nelson turned that one back underneath. Just a little bit of a disconnect downfield. Seattle's going to have a little 70-yard coffin corner here to go. Looking to keep cruising. Nice step through there. Seattle continues up to the high side.
Yeah, nice lateral movement from Seattle.
Jones finds a target. Jezierski a couple more yards. They're going to reach back to the end zone again. And again, the disc is going to linger, but there is no defender in sight. Separation is there. And Emily Decker has reeled in the third break in a row. Seattle is cruising.
And Sadie Jezierski putting that assist up. We said it earlier, I think a top leader for possibly the entire league. And I think you see why. That was a great throw. Saw two cutters with trailing defenders and put it up into a space that both of them had a great play on it.
Yeah, just looking smooth and confident and nothing but trust in their teammates as they just put it out past them, let them go do their thing.
And that is 3 breaks in a row for Tempest. I'm sure they're feeling pretty good so far. And I think Soar is looking to stop the bleeding a little bit.
Yeah, Soar playing around again. I think they've got little like handler groups and cutter groups going, so kind of a unique look line so far this game, but
Tempest
a lot of talent, and we got a little zone here. Oregon's going to play around with it. Keep the handler movement up, try to find some holes as that cup moves side to side.
I really like what Emma Bartlett is doing right now for the Soar. They're really chipping upwards through that cup and then able to step through and hit that second layer of players. I think Soar needs to keep doing that. Yes, exactly like that.
And there's a little breathing room. Luke has plenty of room. Going to play catch with Takahashi as Jezierski keeps the lid on things. Now it's going to slow down here. Matchup defense for Seattle. Bartlett unmarked. Time and space to operate their end zone offense, but Vogel, little too much sauce on that one for Coles, who had the cone. Another Oregon turnover.
Once again, Seattle has a full 70 to go. And I haven't quite discerned if there's an upwind, downwind situation happening on the field.
Maybe this Elmy pass is going to tell us a little something. Never came back in, so we are going to come all the way up about the 5-yard line. Elmy trying to get it out of there, but need to bring it back in there in order to get the room.
Yeah, that's the second long look I've seen going in that direction that has been pushed out of bounds towards us, towards the viewers. So maybe a bit of a crosswind again. That's what we've mostly seen in this stadium.
And Norton has kind of battled the sideline there and can't reach up over their head while keeping their toe in. Jezerski is going to keep this one in bounds, although too far out in front for their intended target Page. But they have successfully changed the shape of the field here, and they're going to get back into that zone that they started with.
And I will shout out Elmi again. That is a third block within the first quarter, so maybe going to set a new record here this week.
Yeah, not even explosive sorts of blocks, just mentally all over things. So they know exactly what's coming at them and exactly where to be. They have impressed. And Bartlett catches a hand on the mark there from Page. They're going to talk about a foul. Looks like it's going to be a contest.
And Lauren Page is also one of our players to watch this week. Their coaches noted that they have racked up the blocks on defense, and I think, contested there perhaps, but they are putting on a lot of pressure.
Comes Oregon again, trying to bounce it around, get that cup spread out, find something through the middle seems to be the way they want to go, and Norton trying to step past the wall. I think arguing that they also kind of brushed the defender with the disc as they tried to step through and throw. Defender agrees.
Yeah, there you saw Kimber Coles pointing forward, wanting their players to attack forward, and we see a bit of a repeat of the same situation there.
Yeah, that's good work by the mark there. Unafraid to stay right on their hip, even after a foul, and a little more contact as the zone tries to contract. Got into the back of Egan, who's going to have an uncontested foul call.
Yeah, I think Seattle's feeling fired up. They're putting on a lot of pressure, kind of maybe towing that line of what's agreed upon for fair or not on the contact. And Seattle Tempest zone here is looking great. Soar only just broke out of a lot of small touch movement, and Seattle racks up another block.
Yeah, Petty gets their hand in there, and they are going to get rewarded for that block, being patient on the wing and then busting out into the end zone. That is 1, 2, 3, 4 breaks in a row for Seattle to start this one.
Another assist for Jezerski. And score by Anna Petty.
Yeah, you could see Oregon, could see in there. I don't know if the viewers at home could see it, but the coaching staff getting a little vocal there as the Soar just poked around, never really looking for getting through that zone there at the end. A lot of foul calls, really slowed down, maybe getting into their heads a little bit. They're going to take a timeout, have a little conversation about it.
Yeah, I'd say this zone has been pretty effective for Seattle so far, so I think we're going to keep seeing it. It'll be a good challenge for Soar to figure it out, because I don't think they quite have yet. Which leads us into some of the keys for this game. Soar, like we mentioned before, the season may be set, but Soar needs to keep building. No matter what the outcome is here, they're working on building a program, and I think it's important to prove that they deserve to be here and that they're learning and growing. They need to prove something, I think, to themselves that, hey, they can hang and they're a contender in this league.
Yeah, and it's always hard to be an expansion team, essentially. A lot of these players do have experience in the league, but there's a lot of subtle changes that just take a season to get used to. And for the coaching staff also, it takes a season to get used to these kinds of things. And the flow of the game is different. The timeouts are different. And they're definitely taking steps forward every week. And they're probably hoping for a bit of a leap here as we reach our last 3 quarters. 2 minutes left in this one here, our first quarter. Oregon sending out another group, trying to stand up to the task. They are probably relaxing a little bit as they do not see Sage Jezerski on the opposite line.
I was going to say, of these 4 goals that Seattle Tempest has scored, it's been a different scorey each time, so they're really spreading out their usage. However, Sadie Jezierski has thrown at least 2 of those goals.
Yeah, and dissecting Jezierski's game, it just always looks so easy for them. It's hard to say what specifically they're doing well. They just are always on cruise control, always doing the thing. It's it's wonderful to watch. Soar's trying to do their thing here, doing a nice job keeping it moving up and down, left and right. Klemba.
Soar's offense has been pretty dynamic here and working through some poaches and lanes. I like what I'm seeing so far.
And Dennehy is going to put it out there for somebody. Pearson originally. Nelson on the back end is going to reel it in. They needed someone to come up with something, and Dana has got it. That's our first goal for Oregon Soar. They are down 4-1.
Yeah, what a great catch from Dana Nelson. And Mal's putting out just enough float that, again, perhaps not the intended receiver, but gave a teammate enough time to go get it, and that's awesome.
Yeah, a bit of a trust throw to player A, but they've got trust in everybody, so player B works just as well.
And again, I really liked the initial movement we saw from the Soar handlers there. Because they started pushing upfield immediately, we didn't let ourselves get stagnant and have those poaches just sit in those lanes. Very nice.
And for the first time in this game, as the quarter only has a $1.09 left, the Seattle offense is taking the field. Hopefully they're not too cold over there after standing on the high side of the field for a couple minutes. Hannah Kawhi is going to get things going as Oregon brings their own zone to start this game. Sue and Kawhi going to be touching the disc a lot today, especially right now as they play catch down the sideline. Finds something downfield. Garrity is going to lift one right on the edge for Sue. They're going to try and switch the field. Kawhi successfully does so. Baroma, doorstep, goal, Seattle. Quick one as Cushy gets in there.
From Drea Baroma, I believe. Yeah, I don't think they looked too cold there. That was a really beautiful offense. Soar came out with a little bit of a different zone look than I think we've seen from them before. It was a 3-person cup. And, the Seattle handlers said, that's fine. We can just play toss, run up the field together. And I don't think Soar really was able to block that motion. They gained a lot of yards by just little give-goes for about 30 yards, I think.
Yeah, they did a great job squishing them close to the camera there, but happy to literally run down the sideline there before breaking things open to the other side of the field.
And once Soar melted into person defense, Seattle did a very nice job of moving the ball over to the high side of the field and kind of quick movement, found an open person.
Can't do it much better than that. Neither can Jezierski so far, who's going to send another pull down to Oregon.
There's about 25 seconds left in this quarter. I'm really interested to see if Soar is conscientious of that time and trying to hold the disc through those seconds, which they did not. So Seattle is going to have a chance to score with the 3 seconds remaining in the quarter.
Yep, wisely letting the clock strike 0 before even picking it up, securing this final possession here. Not a bad matchup idea there. Vogel to Riley deep, but Seattle just aware.
I understand it is hard to not hit Jackie Riley as she's streaking into the deep space.
Now Seattle has all the time they need, but only one possession here, as they're going to have to go into the wind, full field.
Soar has done a very good job all season of getting blocks in these moments and not letting another score go off. So let's see if they can do it here.
Jezierski, high side, going for it. Has another player with separation. It's Emily Decker again, but disc gets caught up, finds the breeze, drifts out of view. Nice job there by Galian to be on the backside of that one.
And we'll be back with you in the second quarter.
California dreaming on such a winner's day.
They had 2 seconds and they made it count. Do you believe?
I'm so fired up, I just jumped out of my seat.
Wow, what a beautiful grab.
Creatine is only for extreme athletes who eat dominance.
Actually, let's skip that. Combat candy is for everyone who trains hard and deserves better than choking down powder. 5 grams of science-backed creatine in a gummy that turns a supplement routine into something to look forward to. Just because your workout is serious business doesn't mean you're creatine supplements. Combat candy, making strength frickin' delicious. Try it at combatcandies.com.
We're back here in Portland. Seattle in control here, up 5-1. Start of the second quarter, Seattle will receive. And yeah, pretty simple story there in the first quarter. Let's check out the keys to the game for this Seattle team. Embrace the uncomfortable and embrace kind of the uncontrollable end of their season. They are in third place. If they win this game by about 40 goals, maybe they can crack into second, but they are kind of just chilling. They don't have to worry about what comes next for them. Stay efficient. This team has thrown the least passes in the league and have done so very successfully, and they've thrown the most hucks in the league. They don't need to throw it a lot if you're gaining a lot on every throw. And lastly, stay on the gas. Do not, kind of coast your way into the end of the season. They are going to the playoffs. They should try to continue to get better every time they take the field. They're doing better right now as Kawhi keeps the ball moving, and this O-line has yet to meet real resistance here in this game.
Certainly. I think that they had an excellent first quarter. I think they'll be really, really happy with their performance. And to your point, let's see if they can just keep on the gas here.
Yep, and they are going to try to switch the field, get to the break side. Paklemba reads it well. Bartlett forcing it to the outside. Alexa Kirkland tries to put it around the corner. Not going to work. And Soar have their first break chance of the game. Nat Hancock is going to try to lead the way. Bartlett now going to push it down for Paklemba, who has a receiver downfield. They're going to try to ride the wind, but the wind disagrees. And again, for the second or third time, these hucks on this near side cannot find their way back in. Seattle's going to walk it up to about 25 yards away.
Yeah, I'm not sure who had the mark on Paklemba's huck attempt there, but it was very flat, kind of maybe knowing that that wind was going to play a factor there. Helped push it out of bounds.
Nice around Sue now with the whole field to operate. He's going to give it over to Garrity, who had already turned the corner. Soar now trying to fast break. Takahashi takes a floaty one.
And Paklemba with 2 blocks in this point.
Nelson is going to put one out to space for Bartlett. Has the bigger, longer defender coming around the backside. Maybe felt some contact. They're calling a foul here on this block attempt. I believe that's Anna Cushy there on the defensive attempt. He's going to contest this call.
All right. contested. It is going back to the thrower, Dana Nelson.
Should have a little bit of a pre-stall. We're going to move around, get to start dynamically, and here comes Oregon. And Cushy gets another hand on it. Seeing if the disc lies. I guess it doesn't this time. Nelson. Going to give go. Paklemba sees Bartlett with room. Jumps just past the line, the observer tells us, and Oregon starts this quarter with a break, exactly what they needed. It's now 5-2, Seattle's lead.
I believe that was Paklemba to Bartlett for the score.
Believe so.
Nice point by Clea Paklemba with 2 blocks and the assist.
Yeah, some nice movement there from both sides, but defensive pressure amping up. Everyone earning some touches on the disc. Oregon has just enough zest at that point to push it through. You're going to try to get a little break train going here this quarter. Get the crowd involved a little bit.
Soar's line is all gesturing towards someone to get on the field. It looks like it is Rachel Egan to step out there with this D-line. And we'll get another chance to look at O-line from Seattle. But I actually think this is Seattle's classic D-line.
A little bit of a mixed group here as Jezierski's going to be on the receiving end. Sioux taking their time. Has got their mark. And Camrat tries to come through. Does so a little late and agrees that that was a foul. It's going to stay with Seattle. And Zoe Luke had shut the door downfield, but the throw goes up anyways to Cushy. Didn't really stand a chance there, and Oregon gets their second look. Paklemba up on the high side. Camrat pointing to the end zone. Paklemba trying to push it down there. Again, it's going to get caught up there. No throwers can quite muscle it through the breeze that exists up above their heads. Yeah. Seattle now running away with it and running a little bit too fast as Egan gets a free one.
Yeah, it's looking windier and windier out there, which both of these teams have played in a lot of wind this WL season.
Yeah, and Paklemba again sees Camrat with room, but Camrat trying to change things up, turns their cut more horizontal than Paklemba sees originally.
Yeah, a bit of a miscue there.
Yep, second or third time they've done that. Seattle now 70 yards to go. Here's Cushy.
Paklemba with another block.
Jezierski unable to come down with it. It's been the story of these two trying to make things happen with their throws here. As Jezierski on the mark is going to get a hand on that disc before it's out of Paklemba's reach, out of her hip pocket. It's going to be a foul. Coming back. And down the sideline again. And again, unable to muscle it back into the field.
Yeah, I really think that breeze must be coming strong towards these cameras because any long look that's gone up on this sideline has not successfully come back in bounds.
Yep, and that's where Seattle will start, is hugging the same sideline, see if they can try to get it away from this space, just like this. So Idy keeps it going, but it's kind of a tough read upwind. Kind of tanks there on Crowley. Soar again. Camrat taking some free ones with Paklemba, who's going to push it up the line. 1D is good, 2 is better for Jesse Crowley, who reels it in. We are at our longest point of the game here. Seattle, another 70 to go. But they are starting on the favorable side of the field here. It's Idy. Switches things up. We're going to again reach down this near sideline. Camrat's all over it. Back and forth we go. Here's Paklemba.
We mentioned it earlier, but I think Soar's offense has really improved throughout this season, and I like the pace of play they are working at here. I think it really tends to benefit them when they push hard and play quickly. I'm sure they'd like to finish a little bit more efficiently, but I think they're having much better movement than we saw at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, nice handler movement here to keep things going. Seattle holding the fort for now. Jezerski, I believe, might have gotten to 7 there on the stall count.
Contested. The disc is going to go back to Kamrat.
So the disc will stay, but the stall is going to be high. Get ready for some action here as this disc gets tapped in.
Violation
And,
call.
Yeah, making sure we get things started properly. This is a critical possession here for both teams. Making sure nobody gets an edge here with an early whistle. And Kamrat has to go quick, and it just bounces right over the top of Matonis. Seattle's going to get the disc back, and they are going to use their first time out of the game to get a fresh line out there. They're feeling the pressure. Oregon is probably a little upset with that one.
And it has been a low-scoring quarter so far. We've got about 4 minutes and 15 seconds left in this second quarter, and there's only been 2 scores, one of each. I think a positive there. Soar is maybe playing a little bit better defense and slowing down Seattle's offense. But I think they'd like to score a little more too.
Yeah, both teams just have gone ice cold on throwing anything longer than 15 yards here in the second quarter.
Yeah, and while both teams I think are putting some tight pressure on, there's been a handful of drops on both sides, which again I think we're seeing higher wind than these teams were warming up with.
Yeah, one of the harder things here this season has been the changeover time of the conditions. Warming up, expecting one thing, getting into second quarters, feeling something completely different. Both teams here, I think, probably got 14 different players out here, although I do spy Rana Kamrat staying on the field.
Seattle Tempest set up in a vert stack, and we see a bit of a junk look around the vert stack from Soar.
Yeah, and Seattle tries to split that junk. It doesn't work. They're going to have to lose yards with Sue out of their end zone now. There's a nice gainer down the field to Lee, who's going to try one to Hannah Kawhi, who's got plenty of room, and that disc sits properly finally. Kawhi now 3 yards away, has a target. Garrity, goal. Many minutes have burned, and Seattle has finally held for the first time this quarter. They have a 6-2 lead.
Yeah, Seattle worked through some really nice defensive pressure from Soar there and then kind of found an open person and went off to the races from there. I'm not sure who put up that away shot, but it was a gorgeous away shot, one of the nicer ones we've seen this game, to Hannah Kawhi, and just quickly put it away. It's nice offense and nice patience despite the high pressure when they were back in their end zone.
Yeah, that's Ye-Sun Lee, I think, 81 on Seattle, maybe with their first touch of the game. Comes on after a timeout, gets a huge gainer, and just lets it fly to Kawhi, who's usually on the other end of that equation.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it was first touch or not, but man, that is a beautiful first touch if it is.
Sure is. Seattle pulling again. Jezerski letting it rip. Oregon's offense going to take the field for the first time here. Matonis is going to see a 3-person cup in their face.
And
Seattle brings this again.
Yeah, this is the same zone that we saw Soar struggle with a little bit before.
Yeah, and must have been a really high stall there as Matonis
I was thinking the same thing.
remains relaxed throughout. Yeah, and if nothing else, while the passes are complete, this zone has forced many of them and has not allowed a lot of yard gains and has eaten clock. And if you have the lead, not a bad place to be. And Klemba tries to go over the top. There's a nice pocket there, but there's no receivers in there.
Yeah, perhaps a little bit impatient. Soar had kind of stayed at the same yard line for quite some time.
Yes.
Hadn't really moved forward or backward.
Yep.
What I do think Pokemba recognized there is the defense is very heavy towards where the disc is sitting. So there's some space behind those two walls of people.
Yes, Seattle with defenders draped all over them are running up this open sideline, and Jazerski has spent a couple minutes not wowing us, but they are back on the stat page with a beautiful over-the-top pop down into the end zone. They have got a quick break. They are up 7-2.
Hey, speak for yourself. I've been wowed the whole time. That was a great throw. Really placed it in a place that no defender could really make a great play. Zoe Luke goes up and comes close. Cleo Poklemba coming in on the backside to try to help, and perfectly thrown. That's a great look.
Yeah, Anna Petty creates space. Jazerski drops right in their pocket.
And I think that is the second goal for Petty. And again, Tempest has otherwise spread out their goals for the 7 they've had so far.
Yeah, they're looking to get back that momentum they had in that first quarter as they bring out their second D group. Oregon try to come out quick, see if they can get past that potential zone again, but looks like matchup defense here from Seattle. It's Bartlett. Has no mark. Oregon now going to switch the fields. Riley in the middle. Passing down the way. Little confusion downfield as Agnes Lee is yards away. Maybe a little pick called several moments beforehand, which allowed Lee to look like they had huge separation. I believe maybe a pick called as that disc is coming to Galeon here on the sideline. So it's going to come back.
Some confusion here.
Yep. Yeah, getting started a little early here. Nice no around mark, but Barnes is going to find a way to get past it, and they're going to flip it into the end zone for Bartlett's second goal. Oregon gets a nice quick hold. They are down 3-7, 1:47 left on our clock.
That's one of the more efficient O points we've seen so far for Oregon Soar. Very nice.
Yeah, nice mark here from Crowley. Barnes sees it, has to put on the Jets up line, gets it done.
Yeah.
Nice work by them.
I think Soar's doing a really nice job of winning in these small spaces.
Yes. Yeah, as the long ball continues to be a point of contention, you got to use all the spaces available to you. Score any way possible.
Get it done.
Get it done. Jackie Riley's going to send a nice one down here. Cheryl Sue's going to field it for Kawhi. Nice little tweener to the front of second in the stack. And while there's a lot of room, a little confusion here as Jackie Riley is all over a pass. And Hancock caught flat-footed. Kawhi storms past, disrupts the play, and they get it right back. Sue now. It's going to put one little outside of their receiver.
Nice save by Baroma.
Wonderful save. Playing a little ping pong now, but again the receiver is caught turning upfield as the thrower tries to wait an extra beat. It's the second time this quarter they've been caught in that little scenario.
Yeah. Both teams here with some little miscues.
Yeah, Cameron now a couple yards out of their own end zone. Reset to Matonis. They are looking upfield and not seeing much good, and neither are their coaches, who are going to use a timeout here. Sort of slow things down, maybe get some fresh legs out. They need to punch it in, as 33.4 seconds is on our game clock here in the stadium.
Yeah, I like that timeout call from the Soar coaches. I agree. I was watching the players downfield, and it seemed like two players would go to make the same cut and then back off, and those sort of miscues don't bode well with a shortened stall in a league like this. So I think that's a great call from the coaches and good recognition of what their players needed.
Yeah, so we enter another end of quarter situation here. So you do sort of want to linger a little bit here on offense and just have the disc for another 30 seconds.
Yeah, it's absolutely a tough balance, right? Like, you can't play differently if you start trying to play differently than how you play.
Right.
You're probably going to get stalled out or do something silly. But I do think the feedback should be anything risky right now, you don't take it. You move the disc, you hit the reset, and make sure that you hear that buzzer go off, and then you can, foot on gas, do whatever you want.
Absolutely. Couple changes here for Oregon. Jackie Riley's going to remain in the game. Sylvie Barnes comes back out. Seattle also with a change here and there. They are going to throw a little bit of a junkie zone-y look here at Ren Vogel.
This is a nice look from Seattle. So they're in a bit of a junk, and they also have a tight person defender on the main reset.
Yeah, you can see 3 Seattle defenders here are closer to the disc than any Oregon player. And they're going to try to keep things crunched right here on the camera side. Oregon keeping the disc alive, which is what they want to do for several more seconds. 15 left on our clock here. But beyond just keeping the disc alive, they also want to get it to the other side of the field. Norton here wisely moves it away from the sideline. And a nice read by Galian, who's almost walks it out. And now we're kind of available to open things up, as Ren Vogel certainly does.
Absolutely. Hit the scooper after the buzzer goes off. Why not?
Norton now finds Riley, creeping down the middle. Nice little bump to Vogel. Power position is going to let one go. Kind of not the shape they needed on that one, as Jezierski, your block leader, right place, right time, like they always are. They're going to close it out, and they're going to hold on to their 7-3 lead in the first half of this one. We will see you on the other side of a couple of breaks. Thank you for joining us. Seattle 3, Oregon. Seattle 7, rather. Oregon 3.
Creatine is only for extreme athletes who eat dominance.
Actually, let's skip that part. Combat Candy is for everyone who trains hard and deserves better than choking down powder. 5 grams of science-backed creatine and a gummy that turns supplement routine into something to look forward to. Just because your workout is serious business doesn't mean your creatine supplement is to be. Combat Candy. Making strength frickin' delicious. Try it at combatcandies.com.
drop, I know they gon' lean. World debut, I know they gon' fiend. Everything Mississippi to the Palm Springs. Girls from brunettes down to blonde queens. You know you like that. 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 You know you like that.
Welcome back to the University of Oregon here in Portland, Oregon. We just witnessed some great youth ultimate here. A great speed walking contest that Linnea Sue just walked away with. And we are ready to start the second half of the final game of this Western Ultimate League regular season, where Seattle currently holds the lead. They have 7, while Oregon sneaking up behind them with 3. They are going to receive, it looks like. Nice place to be for them. Never mind. They're going to get a break, which is an even better place to be, because they're going to start on D, as Seattle salsas on the line as they wait to get this second half started.
Yeah, we had 2 pretty different quarters in the first half. The first quarter, the Seattle Tempest came out with 4 breaks in a row, and Soar just squeaked in their first point right at the end of that quarter. And the second quarter traded back and forth quite a bit more. Tempest did get 1 break there, but quite a bit closer in that quarter.
Yeah, and looks like conditions are calming down up there. The sun is peeking its way past some clouds for the first time today. The flags at the far end of the field are not waving around as much. And once again, we have been punked, as Seattle will pull to start this. Jezierski once again has been leading the way for this defensive unit. Let's find out who's going to lead the way for this Soar offense. Hancock is going to get it going.
Seattle once again coming out with a zone look here.
Yeah, they ran that at least a third of the time in that first half. You'd have to imagine Oregon had a conversation about it in the locker room. And Riley's going to split 2 cutters. Camrat and Hancock can't come down with it. Elmy's going to get Seattle off and running. Elmy started the first point with 2 blocks, led the way for the Seattle first break, has been kind of waiting to have another impact again. Here's Seattle now 10 yards away. Jones.
Yeah, Broken Jones kind of quarterbacking this Seattle offense here.
Here's Elmy with an open receiver, but no one is open for that long when Jackie Riley is on the field. They close the gap. They get a block. They're going to make sure they're not going to give away a quick one to start this half.
And Seattle Tempest setting up with that same zone look again, but putting maybe a little bit of pressure on that. Nope, not on the handler reset. Free swing.
Yep. They're going to want Oregon to come down this way towards the camera. Oregon's going to take those yards while they're given to them. But Klemba's going to reach. They've got a 2-on-1 with Jezierski downfield. But that is math that Seattle likes.
Oh.
Jezierski gets a hand on it.
Oh, and heartbreaking. I think Zoe Luke kind of blocked her own teammate there. Sprite was in the area ready to kind of come down with the junk. Oh, heartbreaking.
Going to take a quick pause as Jackie Riley is going to ask for a sub. Shannon Dennehy's going to take the field. This is going to stay with Lauren Page unmarked in the middle of the field as we figure things out.
Hope Jackie Riley is okay. I believe she's been playing with a broken hand for a lot of this season.
Yeah, Seattle staying on the gas here. Elmy way up to the high side with plenty of room for Page. Jezierski now keeps it going around the edge, and with their foot in bounds, Emily Decker has reeled in a break for Seattle. They push their lead back up to 5.
I believe Soar's defense was forcing towards the camera, and Seattle Tempest didn't really care. They put up, I think, 4 break throws in a row there for that goal. So if I'm Soar, I think I'd be thinking about maybe adjusting those marks a little bit. I saw a lot of straight up, but I don't think hucking has been a massive part of Seattle's game so far this half. So I think a couple tweaks, a couple adjustments, keep up that pressure, make it a little harder for Seattle Tempest to score.
Yeah, Mark kind of caught in the middle there. Jezierski just gives it a big step around for the nice goal there. Seattle pulling once again with Charlie Eide. Oregon's going to give it another go. 9:43 left here. 2 quarters remaining in this game and in this season for Oregon. No time like the present. Here's Pregame. Hand it off to Camrat. He's going to continue down for Nelson. Plenty of room down the middle. Dennehy. Some quick action here for Soar. Pregame is going to try to find 84 downfield. Tinker. But some nice pressure coming from both directions there from Seattle.
And I think credit to Kat Chung there for a nice layout block.
I think so.
And Kat Chung is one of our players to watch this game. But notably, their coaches said that they are an O vet for this team. And, hey, they are proving that they can do a lot on both sides. That was a beautiful block.
They can do it all here, as Seattle has been proving that they can do it all here as they're going to reach into the end zone again. Disc lingering in the air, and Linnea Sue speed walks her way into the end zone all the way back. Kat Chung with the layout D to get that one going. That is our Discraft play of the game. Body on the field. It's way to push this game into near unreachable status if they keep piling on. Wonderful stuff there from Seattle. They push their lead to 6, up 9-3.
And to your point earlier, Bobby, on Seattle's keys to the game, stay on the gas. And I think Kat Chung is saying, hey, yeah, let's do that. Let's get our fire going into this postseason. I think Seattle's shown that they've had a fabulous season, and it's exciting to see what they're going to do come championship weekend.
Yeah, and Seattle's putting out their O group right now to pull and play D. They're not going to let them linger on the sideline like what happened in that first half. And that's a good way to keep your foot on the gas, is just get all your players out there, let them use their energy. No sense in waiting. Time to go. Takahashi now. As Drea Baroma flies past. Norton is going to get open, but Baroma, I believe, is going to call stall there. And maybe take it back.
Yeah, perhaps rescinded.
Believe that's rescinded,
Yep.
so it's going to stay here with Norton. Coles now. And a lot of players open, but a lot of confusion. And Linnea Sue somehow finds the disc in her lap and is going to try to take a free one to Garrity way downfield. Tough to read. Oregon back on the run. Bartlett, 15 yards for Luke, who's going to try to get one out there early for Takahashi. They are going to team effort it to retain possession as we see those flags blowing again. The wind is back up to its tricky business. Here's Bartlett.
Yeah, seeing kind of a frantic energy here from Soar. Again, I really like when they play with a fast pace, but I think you have to have really strong communication with each other when you're doing that.
Yeah, and speaking of communication, nobody sees Anna Cushy way downfield except Hannah Kawai, who's just going to send up an easy one.
Bummer.
And Cushy has a lifetime to try and figure out where that one's going.
Oh, and what a beautiful huck.
Sneaks out of their fingers. Here comes Oregon. Takahashi keeps it alive and keeps it moving. Bartlett does the same.
Back-to-back layouts. Very nice.
And Luke is going to look for their big receiver, Coles. Disc just gets pushed a little over the top. Nice job by Yasun Lee to shut that one down. Some help defense over the back. Seattle now. Sue. Poke one through. Garrity now unmarked. Taking their time with it is Seattle. Again, this is their offense group typically, so don't want to see them finding rhythm here after a turn because this is where they live. And Takahashi finds a cutter flat-footed.
Fun point for Takahashi. She is one of our players to watch this game. She had quite the first home game for the Soar, and I think she's showing a lot of grit here.
Yeah, again, as that disc, whenever it's trying to move upward away from the camera, it's just lifting. And speaking of lifting, the Seattle team continues to send it deep. They finally find their mark. Garrity is going to hand it off, and they're going to once again find some space and keep that disc up. And they have had a long, hard-fought point, and they earn a break. They are up 7 goals here.
Yeah, that
with
was
5 minutes remaining.
Ye-Sun Lee with the assist. I believe that was her first of the game. Perhaps up to Anakushi.
Those players certainly involved all over the place. Blocks galore there. Yeah, both teams with plenty of space in different areas, but once again, it remains hard to get from point A to point B to point C. Seattle does it first. Oregon's going to get some new players out there, hope to try to do the same.
Yeah, I think that's the first point this game that I've seen a bit of fatigue on the players, how they're feeling. So this is where the grit comes in.
Seattle matchup defense here. No more zone for them. Barnes finds Riley, who's thankfully back on the field. Just able to get one off to Hancock. Now we're coming
Nice
around the
movement
edge.
from Soar.
Yeah, around the edge.
Wow.
Barnes.
Sylvie Barnes, what a dig.
And Matonis sees Barnes cooking, but things are a little off page. Tries to hold it in, and I think it just squeaks out.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Here's Page now for Seattle. On what have been the hardest throws of the game so far are these throws down the sideline. Seattle's making it work. Jezierski now, 5 to go. Take the easy way. Elmy here in the middle. Jezierski is going to ask for some specifics here. Elmy's going to try to put it in a better spot, but finds some contact from the mark, Nat Hancock.
Yeah, uncontested foul.
Not contest. This one's coming back. Back with Elmy. Stall will be one. Seattle with more opportunities here for a break. Nice tricky catch there from the win. Ping pong here, Elmy and the win. Jezierski asking for it. Trying to just hand it over to Elmy again, but at the kneecaps, a bit too tough. Oregon back with it. High stall, works out. Klemba with some room to work. Gonna reach for Riley.
Oh.
And that disc for the first time today just keeps on going. Riley had separation, and the speedster can't even catch up to it.
And now Tempest has a full 80 yards to go. We realized we were saying that wrong during the first half. The WUL fields are 80 yards from front of end zone to front of end zone. That was Emily Decker securing that floaty disc.
And looking for more on that one, as Anna Petty can't come down with it. Galen in the area. Soar once more. And
oh, I don't know if that
another
timeout
little
came soon enough.
Miscommunication there, as Soar hand it right over to Seattle, but I believe the Oregon coaches called that timeout before the pass goes off. We're going to hit rewind there.
Whew. Nice intuition, perhaps, by the Oregon coaches there.
I would say so.
I see Jackie Matonis clapping her coaches on, maybe saving that one.
Matonis agrees. That was called before she threw it. We are going to have some swapping of players here. So Oregon uses their first time out of the half. I think I'm seeing maybe Seattle might be sticking with their group here as they all stay on the field in a huddle. And there they go. To the bench. We're going to have some subs.
And this quarter so far has mirrored the first quarter a bit more. Tempest has had 3 straight breaks. So Soar is going to look to punch this in. Try to make this look a little bit more like their second quarter.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll enjoy having an opportunity at like a set play here as they've been having to play a lot of offense just from transition and turnovers, and nice to just get set up out in space, let people try to lean into some superpowers rather than just buzz around in the windy chaos.
Absolutely. And based on what we've seen so far from Seattle, I'm definitely expecting some sort of junky, zony look coming out of this dead disc.
Yeah.
I think they have done a really nice job strategically of that sort of look instead of just marking up person or doing the same defense they were doing prior to the timeout call.
Kimber Coles will physically arrange cutters downfield here. Seattle happy to play matchup downfield and bring their handler defenders in to squeeze a little space on Ren Vogel, who's just going to get things moving into space. Coles now. Nice job by Norton. Stahl rising. Who's going to take a look for Luke? Going to get it past the defender? Not quite. Great work there by Antolin.
Yeah, that was nice coverage. I was a little bit surprised to see that throw go up, but Zoe Luke is a very tempting receiver. Very close, but great closing defense by Antolin.
Yeah, Heidi now taking a reset as Seattle.
Deep in their own zone.
It's going to take some free ones. Got a lot of room to work, but that's a nice way to start. As Chung breaks free and is going to try to keep that momentum going, and does. Della Penta.
Yeah, I think they saw their teammate going and wanted to push that pace. Unfortunately, a bit of a miscue there.
Yeah, that's our maybe 4th or 5th on both sides of people. Handlers seem to like what they're seeing, and the cutters break things off. Takahashi now not going to make the same mistake. Back to Vogel. He's going to try to push one for Coles, and does. Takahashi again. As things get a little bunched up for Oregon, Bartlett does a nice job getting it off that sideline. Vogel tries to do the same. Norton can't quite get there. Nice job by Vogel to kind of drop off and play deep, not let the Seattle team walk it in, although they are looking at a chance to do just that. If they can reel in a floaty one, they've got it. That's Antolin again, who does it at both ends of the field. One more break for Seattle. They are up 11-3 now.
And that was assisted by Della Penta, getting another chance for throwing the goal there. They're one of our players to watch this game. Their coaches were very complimentary of them, saying that they might be the quickest person on this field, and I think we're seeing that with a lot of separation from their defenders. And nice away shots, too.
Yeah, Seattle continues to prove they've got the depth. They've got playmaking potential all over the field. 45 seconds left here in this third quarter. So Oregon both will want to be the last team with the disc in this quarter, but also want to score as much as possible.
Yeah, I guess things do shift a little bit when you're at the point differential you're at. I agree. I think if they have the opportunity to score, it is hard to turn that down.
Yep.
But keeping awareness of where that clock is. If you're at 4 seconds left, I think keeping possession is better. Making sure your opponent doesn't get the chance to score is maybe more important.
Klemba, as Seattle's going to put their defenders out in space again to start this one. Try to allow this action to happen here for Oregon. Something to the side, not downfield, but Oregon's going to get past it. Start gaining yards. Nelson now. So Oregon's looking for a nice place to operate from. Klemba tries to find it and finds a defender slipping past, and Nelson has a nice read on it, and Dennehy just hitting the gas pedal, finds themselves out in space, and so does Nelson. That's a nice quick hold for Oregon. They're down 4-11 with 3 seconds left.
And that duo is who got our first goal of the game for Soar, and now we're just seeing it flip the other way, Nelson to Dennehy. Really nice. And I really liked the way Nelson came back to secure that long look from Klemba. Really good awareness.
Yeah, head on a swivel there. Dennehy doing a nice job of just trusting that that one's going to work and just get past it, be available for the next play.
And a lot of the Oregon Soar hails from Eugene, Oregon, and it's a shout out to our Eugenians. Those have been the only folks who've scored on the Oregon Soar today, between Dana Nelson, Emma Bartlett, and Shannon Dennehy. So shout out Eugene.
I think some group me's might be having that conversation later. Here's Oregon now. The horn has sounded, so this is the last possession. Oregon just needs to find a turnover here, and Seattle can do as they please here as Oregon throws a little bit of a zone. Seattle's going to play around past it. Sue now.
Seattle doing a really nice job of taking the first open person they're seeing, whether it's a little bit further out. They look confident hitting some over-the-top away shots.
A little over-the-top swings also. Sue here, a couple yards away, finds a free one. Nice work there by Seattle to work through a new look and secure the last goal of this quarter. They have a 12-4 lead. There is 1 quarter left in this one, folks. We will see you soon after a short break.
Creatine is only for extreme athletes who eat dominance.
Actually, let's skip that part. Combat Candy is for everyone who trains hard and deserves better than choking down powder. 5 grams of science-backed creatine in a gummy that turns supplement routine into something to look forward to. Just because your workout is serious business doesn't mean your creatine supplement is to me. Combat Candy. Making strength frickin' delicious. Try it at combatcandies.com.
Welcome back here to Portland, Oregon. We have 1 quarter left in our season finale. Let's take a look back at Kat Chung with our Discraft play of the game. going horizontal. They would go on to be a part of that goal to make this final push to really extend this Seattle lead, who is up 12-4. And Oregon, obviously, trying to end their season with some positivity here. And Seattle, I think, probably feeling good about heading back to championship weekend after they barely missed out last year. I'm sure they're feeling good about themselves and their prospects. They will wait and watch on this YouTube channel what happens in the next game between San Diego and Colorado, which will decide first and second place. But before that, here's Sue. Playing catch now, moving well. This Seattle group again, Kawhi. Cushy, who's had almost entire free reign and a clean sheet this game until that play right there, just a little outside the reach of Hannah Kawhi. Oregon's going to get a chance to start this quarter with a break. Norton is going to find room. Riley. Sylvie Barnes makes a move deep. Riley decides against it, and after a couple of touches, Bartlett finds it.
Yeah, just a little bump to a teammate. Definitely intentional.
And Oregon riding the sideline, and a wonderful touch throw out into space. Bartlett is going to track it down. That's a quick break for Oregon. He's going to chip away at that lead.
And once again, shout out to Eugene. And that is the third goal for Emma Bartlett. Perhaps the season high for her this year.
Eugene stays winning in this one. Rest of the squad's going to try to get in on that action here as they're going to step to the line quickly and look to pull and go and go and go. Seattle going to send out a little bit of the same offense there. So Jezierski's going to join them. They're not. No reason to hit the panic button yet.
I will say, even though this score might not be one of the closest Oregon Soar has had this season, I think that the pressure they're playing with and the flow they're playing with is looking really, really strong, and definitely a good indicator of what's to come for this program in future seasons.
Yeah, definitely the most balanced effort they've had here. Nice pressure here to start this one.
Yeah, that was a nice secure and grab by Drea Baroma.
Nice step around from Elmi to make space for Kawhi, who's going to take a reach for who else? Sage Jezierski in the end zone. Not even Kimber Coles can deny Jezierski from getting again on the stat sheet. That's a quick hold there for Seattle. They're back up 13-5.
Yeah, we've talked a lot about Sadie Jezierski's hucking game, but I think those who know them as a player know that they are really dangerous on the receiving end of a huck as well. Very talented at reading the disc up in the air and very good at coming down with it.
Yeah, that's a nice little showing there from Seattle to put a little bit of a stack your offense line a little bit after break and just quickly take care of business.
Yeah, kind of halt any momentum that Soar might have been feeling there.
Soar now with their first look receiving this quarter. They're going to want things to happen a little quicker than they have been this half. A lot of slower, longer points. See if that's reflected in their choices or their pull play shapes. As Takahashi's out in space. Take a free one for Hancock. Seattle, a little poachy downfield, but now we're kind of cleaning things up. Klemba with room. Going to wait for Coles to move towards the end zone. Coles does a nice job of seeing how that one's playing up in the sky. They're going to punch that one in for another quick hold by Oregon. Lead down to 7 now.
Yeah, that was a nice throw by Poklemba, kind of dialing in that away shot. Really nicely thrown once again. Very hard for any defender to make a play on that one. And to your point, that was a nice, efficient score. This quarter, we've had 3 goals so far in just the first two and some minutes. Definitely a little different than the pace of the rest of the game.
Yeah, happy to see basically every player down the field all smiles right now.
That's
no
also
matter what the scoreboard says. We're having a good time.
Kimber Coles definitely said, Eugene, move over. Portland's got a score here too, so she took care of business there.
Oregon now pulling. Here comes the Seattle squad. Kawhi's going to shove it over to Sue, who's going to wait things out as Oregon throws a little zone. Up to the high side. Really making this zone move. So Sue's asking for a second level to get a little more connected. Once again, they're going to get all the way to the high side without much to show for it, but now we got a little room. Kawhi now without a mark. Gonna take the free one for Cushy. Kawhi again without pressure, and is going to slip one past Bartlett as Sue turns and burns up line for another smooth Seattle hold. They are up 14-6. We've got 9:04 left on the clock.
Yeah, unfortunately, as Soar dissolved that zone into person, I think there was a little bit of a miscommunication on who was covering who. And Cheryl Sue did an awesome job of recognizing, hey, I'm not covered. I'm going to go score.
Yeah, a little bit of confusion there after the Oregon zone. Not quite matching up properly, and nice job by Seattle to just, again, keep their foot on the gas. Go, go, go. They keep doing their thing.
About 9 minutes left in the quarter.
Jeserski again. Gonna get a pull off. Oregon bringing Lee and Hancock and Galian. Some fresh legs out here for this 0 point. Here's Camrat.
I will shout out, that was Jeserski pulling and Jackie Matonis receiving the pull. That is two college teammates, used to playing catch together. Probably played more together than against at this point in time. And that's a great block from 31 and a Petty again.
Yeah, Lee tries to gain some yards. Just great defense, great run through speed. Seattle with their first break chance in a minute. Camrat gets a hand on it. Elmy has a chance. Unable to come down with the second effort. Hancock now leading the charge. Riley. Nice job shutting down the deep look after that one. Camrat can't quite come down with it. They're
and
going to.
The injury call.
Yep, they're going to need a second to recover from that one after a nice bid. Jeserski helps him off. Yeah. Another choppy point here in Portland. Camrat just past the fingertips.
Yeah, and Cameron's
immediately asks for a sub. And
yeah, maybe just an awkward landing. Cameron is walking along the sideline, so it looks like everything's okay.
Yep, Seattle now back with the disc. Nice inside look to wide open Decker, who has been eating up yards and has been unafraid to keep pushing that ball deep. Who does she find other than Sadie Jeserski in for their something goal of this game? They push their lead up. They're up 15-6, 7:52 left in this one.
Yeah, gorgeous throw from Decker. Beautiful shape. Sadie Jeserski just had to keep on taking the path that they were taking and run right onto it. Really beautiful throw. And that is Seattle's first break of this final quarter.
Yeah, that group going to stay out there. Jeserski, Page, Decker, Elmy. Let that group keep doing what they've been doing. Oregon brings back Takahashi and Coles and Bartlett, who have found some success. But Klemba looking to put some nice material on the board here. Some nice energy for the fans to dig into. Seattle's going to try and slow them down with this 3-person zone. Portland going to bop it around. Wait for a hole to open up. That's a nice little give go that kind of collapses things, but nothing quite there on the second level.
Rachel Egan finding her way in there, splitting a defender.
It's a nice field switch from Takahashi and Norton. Vogel with a hand on their back to Paklemba, who has room and time and is looking for Takahashi, who's got to get it before the field runs out, and does. Nice reach from Paklemba to Takahashi. Shorten the gap, 6:55 left. Here comes Oregon.
Yeah. Clea putting some nice pace on that disc. I think that they saw Sadie Jezierski was in the area, made sure it was on a rope to Noelle, who had to make a play and go up for it. Great catch.
Even Jezierski can do nothing but give a little thumbs up to that one. Nice work there from Oregon. He's had a couple of quick holds this quarter. They finally break through that Seattle zone, find some space through the middle and then over the top. That's going to feel good.
We've definitely seen Soar push back hard in a lot of final quarters so far this season, and they are off to kind of a similar start here. Tend to be a fourth quarter team.
Little spinner pull finds itself on the sideline here. As Kawhi is going to face down a ton of defenders. Just scuba one into the wind, unafraid. Break out of that really quick. Seattle now playing mini on the high side. Lee's going to keep the disc over here, keep playing catch here. These three continue. Kawhi steps into a gap.
Whew.
And tough to stop that kind of pace. Kawhi to Cushy. Another clean hold for that group. They have been basically lights out this game.
Yeah, the Seattle's offensive pace has been really, really nice. I think their chemistry is looking great. If I'm Oregon Soar, I don't know if I would keep looking to throw zones extensively against this O-line. I think they've proven that they're really not flustered by it. I understand probably want to do some sort of junk look right out the get-go so they can't run whatever that pool play might be. But I think Soar could benefit from maybe falling out of it and putting on that hard person defense that we've seen they are capable of. But yeah, this that O group likes their scoobers, and they're kind of good at them, is what we're finding.
They're kind of good at them.
Kind of good at them.
Couple minutes left, 6 to be exact, for our first hammer of the game. Speaking of stuff over the top, keep your bingo cards out for that one. Here comes Oregon, looking for another quick hold. Matonis with room. He's going to try to use that room out into a gap. Doesn't quite find the shape with this wind to let that one linger for Dennehy. It's going to be Seattle ball with a full field in front of him. Charlie Eide will step up in the corner. Again, happy to take a reset. A nice high stall inside look there from Crowley. He's got it back now. Oregon doing a nice job keeping the Seattle team on this side of the field before Eide breaks that little gap. Eide again. He's going to look downfield now for their first time this game. Past and outstretched hands of MJ Mahan. Bit too much pace on that one. Oregon coming right back at him. Hancock with a good shape to come back towards the receiver. Just a bit too much zest Dennehy, a speedster, can't quite catch up in Seattle now. Trying to find their way. Mahan. Gonna take a free one here. Antolin. Things slowing down on both ends. Nice job by Kat Chung to make sure he comes down with that one. Yards now on the sideline. 15 out, and we've got a whistle here. Seattle's going to use a timeout. Try to secure this break here near the end of the game. Get some fresh legs in there. Punch one more in. Why not?
Seattle playing really patiently offensively.
Yeah.
I think Soar's defense early on in that point was doing a lot of flashing into lanes and then trying to recover quickly to their person, try to throw off the rhythm a little bit. And I think Seattle's doing a great job of staying patient and finding that open person and not getting frustrated by maybe not as quick of a downfield progression as they've seen in other parts of this game.
Yeah, we've seen a little bit of scatterbrain when teams have turned it over 2+ times each in these long points, but not there. That's cool, calm, collected from Seattle to earn a 15-yard away shot here with a fresh group. And Cassius Timber is going to keep the sidelines moving and grooving. Same with the crowd here. A couple minutes left here for these fans to cheer on this Oregon team in their inaugural season. A couple minutes left for excitement. Let's see what this near unstoppable Seattle offensive group has in store for us here.
Seattle has Alexa Kirkland isolated a bit out in that space. It's going to be interesting to see if Kauai looks to try to hit that or if they're going to try to get it off of this downwind sideline right away.
Yeah, just play a little bit of dominator here with these three maybe as the vert stack waits in the back, but these conditions.
I think El Norton may have gotten a little tiny piece on that around. Yeah.
Fingertip.
Yeah, just
Klemba
enough.
Finds their way into whatever they want. Agnes Lee is on the backside, but the disc is going to turn back the other way. Again, unable to just put the mustard on it that we need here.
Yeah, Lexi Garrity smacking it away, making sure that neither of the Soar players in the area are going to come down with it.
Yeah, and Sue's going to fire back, but Klemba climbs the ladder, denies that one as Drea Baroma was open by uncountable yards. Good read by Paklemba to stop that one. Norton now, middle of the field. Paklemba's going to have to go up again. Bit too much juice, but Galian finds one dropping in, and they're going to drop one in to Jackie Riley out in front for another hold for Oregon. It ain't clean, but it is good. They are down 8 goals here with 3 minutes left to play.
Yeah, that's great awareness by Juliana Gallian to dig that tipped frisbee right before it touches the ground and find a streaking Jackie Riley for the goal. We have about 3 minutes left in this final quarter. Mostly trading in this final quarter. Only one break from Seattle Tempest. And I don't believe Oregon Soar has had a break this game. I'm sure here in this moment where two of the keys of the game kind of proving something to themselves. I think this is where they really want to show, hey, we got this. Let's get a break on this very, very talented Seattle Tempest O-line.
Yeah, they're looking about as sharp as they have this season, the Seattle group. So that would be quite something to prove here if you can go shut them down. But it's tough work. So Kauai is going to slip one by. Another poachy look here from Oregon. Oh, they melt down into person. See how quickly, 25 yards away. Elmy in the middle. He's going to keep the pressure on. And we are going to walk straight past the defense up the break side of the field. Wonderful pace there. Della Penta gets past everybody, flips one into the end zone to Kat Chung. That's another quick score for the Seattle O-line.
Yeah, something we've seen consistently from this Seattle O group is a level of confidence in each other, and they're seeing the open spaces. And instead of trying to hit really, really tight windows, they're kind of just floating the disc up into spaces to let their teammates run onto it. And Soar's defense, especially in the handler space, is a little bit face guardy.
Yep.
You know, their backs are often turned to that thrower. And so Seattle is doing a great job of recognizing it and trusting and leading their teammates into those open spaces. And it's really working for them.
Yeah, you can see the chemistry is really there. They can go so fast. They just know what a next option can be, and they can hit it right away. That's tough to stop. 2:34 left here in the fourth quarter. Jezerski once again. Bartlett's going to get us going quickly here. Norton in the middle.
Oh, great securing grab by Dana Nelson.
Yeah, definitely a strong suit of theirs. They're going to try to slip one past the mark, but finds the wrong side, and Jezerski,
going maybe a little too fast,
for their own team, was basically in the end zone before they realized they had missed their intended target. Oregon now with Nelson. Finds their mark this time. Tinker is going to get it to the high side. Lefty Pearson is going to get it around the edge. And they find somebody. It's Tinker again. Pearson and Tinker running that one up the break side. A nice hold after turnover there for Oregon. 1:44 left. They're down 9-17.
That's Tinker's first goal of the game. I did not see them in the area there. They surprised me, so way to be in the right spot. I'm sure Sid Pearson saw them when they put up that great lefty away shot.
Yeah, stall rising. Pearson just puts it in the right area. Tinker's all over it. Nice hold.
Yeah, great catch under some pressure from Seattle.
Another chance here for Oregon to finally earn a block, earn a chance at a break against the Seattle group. And Camrat.
I haven't been tracking this stat, but I actually don't believe that this Seattle O group has turned the disc yet.
I am struggling to come up with one that I could think of. That means they've never done it.
Undoubtedly.
Undoubtedly.
But that is a great thing to feel going into champ weekend.
Yeah, Oregon again trying to eat some space defensively, and Seattle just crunching yards to start. They're already past half. Slowing down now. Kirkland. And they've been doing a great job up at that high side of the field. And as soon as you think they're coming the other way, they just go right back at you. The Oregon forcing it that way. There's our first hammer. Kawhi is all over it. And speaking of all over it, that one gets away from Baroma. Also gets away from Riley, but luckily finds the ground. And there is a turnover, rare turnover for this Seattle group.
We'll see if Soar can take advantage.
Here's Coles. Slip one around for Riley, who's going to push one past Sue. Camrat was making the move, and they have dug that one out. Sue almost gets a hand on it, but Oregon gets maybe their first break chance against that group, and they punch it in here with 39 seconds left. And this crowd is roaring.
Hey, we asked for it. First break of the game from Soar, and I loved seeing the focus and sprite as they hunted down that long disc from Jackie Riley. Fabulous focus, way to reel it in, and way to keep composure as they found their teammate in the end zone. That was Poklemba for the goal.
Not even enough gas left to celebrate that one from Camrat, but wonderful work there Some energy here in the crowd.
About 40 seconds left in this final quarter of the final home game.
Yeah, things are moving in the right direction. We will take all that we can get here in Portland. Seattle is going to try to do the same with Elmi. He's going to sneak one by that three-person cup quickly as that turns back into person defense here. Elmi again finding the way around the edge.
Nice securing grab from Chung.
And Chung has to kind of hold up and find their way after that weird disc. Egan comes through with the block, but Chung is going to call a foul. And honestly, I think as Paklemba tries to pick that up and throw it, I believe there was about to be another timeout called also. So
Yeah, perhaps a blessing. I don't know
Yeah.
if that timeout call came in time or not, but that huck from Paklemba did sail, unfortunately, out of bounds. But it doesn't matter because the foul call came up before it, and it looks like, I'm unsure if it was uncontested from Rachel Egan or if the observers overruled it as a foul. But either way, the disc is back with Chung, and that is the horn for time expiring.
this will be our last possession here in this one. Seattle's going to want to end their regular season with a score. Oregon's going to want to end it with a block. Jezierski is looking for it. Ren Vogel can't get there, and neither can the Seattle cutter Crowley. And it's not going to work for anyone there, and that's going to be it for this game. Seattle is going to take it 17-10. That wraps up this game. That wraps up this season.
For Oregon Soar.
Yeah.
Good luck to Seattle Tempest in the postseason.
Yeah, they are looking sharp. They are looking good. They will find out who they play after this weekend's games are all wrapped up. Oregon here is going to celebrate their first season here with a huddle and then with a big crowd activity in the fun corner. If you saw that back on the far side during this game, teams are going to give each other a good cheer.
And remember to subscribe to Western Ultimate League to tune in for the postseason.
Yeah, we're not done here on this channel. Plenty more action left. The entire postseason is waiting for us. Repeat champion, new champion, you will find out shortly. And we will see you in the chat. That does it here for us. For Bobby Goff, for Danny Renzo, for all of our wonderful production crew. Have a good night. We will see you later.